What's up guys, it is Manga time once again. I'm here today to bring you my review of Bleach 657, God of Thunder 2. But before we begin, I just want to say Merry Christmas, and I hope you had a great one. It was yesterday. Now, those of you who don't, celebrate Christmas, I hope you had a great day. We got ourselves a nice little Christmas present in the form of a chapter today. If you've been reading weekly manga as long as I have for about 6-7 years, you will come to realise that around this period of time, chapters happen incredibly randomly. They're supposed to come out later, but then they come out earlier, and then you're like, is there going to be a chapter this week? Is there not going to be a chapter this week? And you sort of get kind of acclimated to the fact that there probably isn't going to be a chapter this week, and if there is one, that's really kind of lucky. So I think maybe this chapter is for next week, so we're not getting one until maybe 2 weeks into the new year. I don't know. I haven't got a clue. Doesn't really matter because we've got a chapter now, and that's the good thing. Before we begin, if you'd hit the subscribe button, I'd super appreciate that. That'd be awesome. And if you like the video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give me a thumbs down. Either way, support the video. That'd be so great. I'd really appreciate it. Anyway, this week's chapter starts off again doing that thing Kubo likes to do, where he goes back in time before the beginning of last week's chapter. People find this to be quite annoying. It's chapter filler in its most obvious form. This happens a lot during lengthy fights because it's Kubo's way of dragging them out. I think it's kind of neat to get a more in-depth look at what happened and to get a better, not necessarily a better viewpoint, but an alternate viewpoint. So we get to see Yoruichi summoning her Raijin Senki attack, and it actually looks I think it looks really, really cool the way she does it. She seems to sort of bring her arms around, and as she does it, the balls of lightning appear around her. And it's very cool that Kubo's now decided to commit to the fact that Yoruichi is a lightning user. It seems to be like that is going to be her primary method of attack, which is actually very cool. Askin doubles back, and he kind of looks up, and he's like, oh shit. And Yoruichi... I actually think this is a very cool image, and this is again something Kubo didn't do last week, so this is something additional we get now. But as she looks up at Askin, her hair, the bits that generally stick out like that, are now sticking upwards, giving her like a devilish look, or what I think is more likely, she looks like a werecat, like the whole thing that Byakuya used to call her. Either way, though, she looks very devilish and very cool. Yeah, she looks awesome, actually, to be fair. I love the idea of the lightning kind of running up her. And then there's another very cool page where she uses Shunko Raijin Senki, and she does it by bringing her hand down. Askin kind of gets completely annihilated by it, and he's just like, oh shit! And basically he just kind of blows up. The whole place just blows up as she uses this Raijin Senki move. And it looks awesome. I have to say the artwork is really good this week. Really good. All the way through. The characters look awesome. The expressions look awesome. There's a lot of dynamic movement this week. Orihime, obviously, I think a lot of people are going to complain about the fact she's just kind of sitting on the floor as this attack is coming towards her, but she is still feeling the effects of Poison Pool, so I think it's believable that she wouldn't necessarily get out of the way. Yoruichi brings her over to her using some random whip thing. She catches up Orihime, and that's basically that. So Yoruichi says, I think it's best you heal yourself, and then once you've done that, tend to Ichigo and Chad, because they're both still, feeling the effects of the poison. So Orihime says, oh, what about you, Yoruichi? And Yoruichi says that, I'm going to make sure this guy is dead, and then I'll be right behind you. Suddenly, someone appears, and it's Yuushiro, and I've got to be honest, at this point, I was like, oh, really? Like, this kid, don't like him. He's annoying, he's just so out of place in terms of the comedy he brings to the table. It really doesn't need to be here at this point in time. And I just think he's a bit annoying. But either way, he kind of tries to grab Yoruichi from behind for some reason. She gets out of the way. Then for some reason he tries to do it again. I think the reason for this... I don't think this is pointless comedy. I think what Kubo's trying to do is establish how powerful Yuushiro is, or at least how skilled he is. Because he dives forward to Yoruichi. She tries to grab him, but he shumpos behind her. And that is just supposed to tell us how good he is, I think. Because, although Yoruichi's still better. Because although he grabs her, Yoruichi then smashes him on the head. So, he gets her, but she beats him. I don't know, it's a weird little interaction that wasn't really necessary. Especially in the middle of a fight with a member of the Schutzstaffel, but... whatever. So basically, Yoruichi says, oh, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be with Kisuke, weren't you? And Yuushiro says, oh, with so many captains over there, I don't think it mattered if I came over and helped you out, so I'm here to rescue you, which Yoruichi doesn't take very well. She's then being all sarcastic, and she's like, oh, Yuushiro, it looks like in the time I haven't seen you, you've gotten a lot stronger, and then he starts crying for some reason. I don't know, this bit goes on for a little bit too long for my tastes, because Yuushiro is a bit annoying. But yeah, so anyway, apparently Yoruichi's being sarcastic. Luckily, we then get back to things. Askin steps out of the smoke in a very cool panel where he's like, oh, I hate to interrupt this poignant family reunion. Yoruichi's face is like, oh, shit. He has been pretty badly damaged by Raijin Senkei, although not terribly. Yoruichi turns around and she's like, oh, clearly your ears aren't working very well. Just because this kid's crying, it doesn't mean it's a conversation worth crying over. Which I think is quite a cool line. Askin steps out doing his hair because he's a freaking badass. And he's like, oh, is that so? Oh, well, in that case, that's enough of this not-so-poignant reunion. All of a sudden, Ichigo gets up. A little bit random, but not too bad, because it does, show that Ichigo is not that weak, and he can get out of Askin's ability on his own. Yoruichi's like, oh, it looks like you've recovered enough already. You're fast as always. Go on with the others now, follow behind. So Ichigo's like, yeah, got it, watch your back, Yoruichi-san. And so Ichigo, Chad, and Orihime continue deeper into Varvelt. And I think there's some dodgy foreshadowing going on here again. Yoruichi says, who do you think you're talking to? It'll take a hell of a lot more than this to slow me down. Clear foreshadowing, I think, that she's going to get her ass kicked. Even if she wins this fight, she's going to, like the rest of the battles we've had so far, not going to come out of this fight unscathed. So yeah, Ichigo and the others continue to run away, and Askin's like, oh, they're getting away. His Majesty's going to give me an earful when I get back. Askin is such a hard-to-read character. Every now and then you think, is this guy going to turn good at some point? Is he kind of just messing with the bad guys and the good guys? He's messing with everyone, I think. But now it seems like generally he is a villain because he's like, oh, well, I'm going to head back to His Majesty at some point and tell them they got away. I don't know. But Yoruichi says, relax, he's not even going to get an opportunity to scold you because we're going to put both you and Yahava out of your misery. And then Askin then says, what with that Wonder Dog attack you just used? I can't have that. And when I first read it, I was like, Wonder Dog? What the fuck is he on about? But on the next page, you find out that Yuushiro, he's basically taking them piss, because Yushiro's like, oh, that attack was called Thunder God, not Wonder Dog. Don't make fun of my sister. And I got to admit, this bit started to annoy me a little bit. So when I was, basically Askin draws his bow again, which looks really cool, actually, the more I see it. And he says, oh, want to have a go, little miss? I won't hold back, though, just because you're coming at me with your bare hands. I'm going to be using my bow. So I think it's funny that Askin thinks he's a girl. Yuushiro, because he seems to like screaming, is like, I'm a boy. And then Askin's like, oh, really? Pardon me. And then when the next page came around, I was like, are you joking? So Yuushiro punches Askin square in the face. Kubo likes doing these panels in this arc, where people get punched in the face, generally bad guys, and their faces, like, deform. And then Askin's kind of like, oh, crap, and blood's coming out of his mouth. And then there's a panel of Yuushiro where he's like that, which has literally been ripped from a Kensei panel. I think when he's fighting Master Masculine, I presume. I think that is. But anyway, yeah, he just punches the shit out of Askin, like, so much. And then, this is brilliant, Askin baits him. Totally baits him. This is how Askin fights. We're now really getting this. He baits people into attacking him so that he can then alter the lethal dosage of said attack. So Askin's kind of like, oh, wait, this is insanity, you can't be this strong. To which Yushiro's like, of course I can. We actually find out that Yushiro is quite arrogant, just to make me not like him even more. But it does hopefully mean he's going to get his arse handed to him. So anyway, yeah, he's like, I'm the 23rd head of the House of Shihoin Yushiro Sakimune. There's no way I could lose to the likes of a mere Quincy. Don't know where that's coming from, mere Quincy, but whatever. So Yuushiro then suddenly pulls out a Shunko, which admittedly is pretty cool, and his is a fire one called Bakuen Muso. It basically is just a fucking explosion. The whole place, it actually does look very cool. But the whole place just blows up in this massive fireball. So Yoruichi is lightning, Soifon is wind, and Yuushiro is fire. And I imagine they're probably the only three Shunko we're going to see in the series. But it's cool. Like, seriously, they all look really cool. Askin is literally just kind of standing there, engulfed in flame, and you can't even really see him anymore. So Yoruichi's like, oh yeah, nice one. Way to think before charging in. If I didn't know better, how would you know that attack would have even worked on him? But then she says, considering I taught you that Shunko recently, you've developed it very far in this short amount of time. So we're supposed to be getting the idea that Yuushiro is some prodigy, maybe? I don't really know what Kubo's doing with this kid because we've only known about him for like not even a year. We haven't even known about Yuushiro for a year yet. So yeah, it's a bit weird. I don't know why Kubo necessarily even felt it necessary to bring in a brotherly character like this, but unless of course because we did see him holding the Shihoin family heirlooms. So if one of those is like Yoruichi's arm toe, then okay, maybe he's relevant. Anyway, Askin's like, oh god, you just taught it to him and he's already mastered it to this extent. So the Shihoin siblings look a lot like very surprised to see that Askin's actually still alive. The fire disappears and Askin's like totally torched. Although he's not so bad in the next panel. But he's like, oh, come on, don't look at me with those faces. I already told you. I can control the lethal doses of anything that I take a massive amount of. So he baited Yuushiro to attack him with the Shunko. And then he's actually putting his hair back again because he's cool like that. And he's like, oh, well, I did tell you. And he's like, thanks so much for giving me this amount of your reiatsu because now none of your reiatsus can kill me. And that's the end of the chapter. So it's a pretty nice chapter we got this week. I'm pretty much, you know me, if you've been watching my reviews, that anything with Askin in, I'm going to love. Because he's awesome, he's very cool. And I like Yoruichi a lot as well. I think Yoruichi's cool, and I think there's going to be a very interesting battle to be had here. Don't care for Yuushiro, and I wish he hadn't taken up so much of the chapter, but it looks like his arrogant little ass is going to get handed to him next week. Or not necessarily handed to him, but he is at least going to get his just desserts for being so arrogant. A couple of observations. I like that Askin has, so far at least, remained very calm, but that's probably because it's all going according to plan. Whenever he's like, "Oh my god, what are you doing?" It's a load of bullcrap. He's just talking rubbish to get them to attack him more, which I like. And I think Kubo is going to do justice to this character. He's going to do justice to this fight because obviously he's got a lot to prove with Yoruichi as well. Could this be the fight where Yoruichi uses her Zanpakuto? I think it's very possible. There's a couple of outcomes to consider now that Askin can no longer be killed by their reiatsu. What does that mean? It means that Shunko is now out of the question, because presumably he's done the same thing with Raijin Senkei earlier on when Yoruichi smashed into him with it. So it does mean that, especially since these two are proficient in hand-to-hand, they might take the fight with their fists purely. But then that leaves them very open to being affected by things like the poison pool because they have to get close to Askin to do that sort of thing. Or they could bring out their Zanpakutos. Well, I mean, Yuushiro must have one, but I don't think we'll see it. The only thing with bringing out the Zanpakuto is if Yoruichi were to Shikai, wouldn't that still count as her reiatsu? So I'm not 100% sure where this fight is going to go, actually. I've got to be honest. I imagine 2-3 chapters will get a Volstendig out of Askin probably in the next couple of chapters. But yeah, needless to say, I'm actually very excited for this fight because Askin is awesome. I'm surprised we're getting it before Gerard, but Gerard must be a big deal if he's the Soul King's heart. I think there's a possibility with Gerard that we might start finally getting some Soul King backstory. So, yeah, good chapter this week, guys. Especially since I wasn't even expecting to get one after we didn't get one yesterday or the day before. So yeah, it was nice to get one. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Again, I'm really enjoying the fight so far. Could have done with less Yuushiro taking up all that panel time, but every panel with Askin is absolute glory as far as I'm concerned. And the action panels at the beginning with Yoruichi fighting Askin were really cool. So yeah, I really like this chapter, guys. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this week's chapter. Do you think Askin even stands a chance against Yoruichi, or is he going to get his ass kicked? If Askin does get beaten, though, let me know. Do you think he's actually going to be killed, or is he going to survive? I think the chances of him surviving are very, very, very high. I really don't think he's going to die. But that could just be my bias talking. So let me know in the comments below what you think. As I said before, guys, I hope you had a great Christmas, or whatever it is you're celebrating at the moment. Or if you're celebrating nothing, I hope you're having a great time anyway. But yeah, I hope you like the video. Subscribe, like, that'd be awesome. But until next time, guys, see you later. Whenever next time is. I don't know when a chapter's coming out.